Hello guys, I am Sparsh and I would like to introduce you to the wonderful and sometimes very frustrating world of web scraping. You might be wondering if it is one of Spider-Man's superpower, but sadly you are wrong. But it might as well be a superpower for us developers. Ever ran into a situation where you automatically want to get information from a website that you see, but the website doesn't provide any APIs for it? Well, the web scraping is the solution you are looking for. Before moving forward, I would like to formally give a definition to web scraping. Web scraping is the automated process of extracting data and content from websites and converting it into usable formats such as CSV, spreadsheets, or databases for later analysis. Which basically, in layman terms, means that you see a website, you take information from said website, and then you use it however you want. Now, you might be wondering, where do you even begin to learn this? Well, you are in luck today because I am here to show you exactly that. But before you move forward, there are some prerequisites that you need to keep in mind. First, you need to have a basic understanding of Python. You should know concepts like loops, functions, variable, list, dictionaries, etc. Or in other words, I am saying that you should know the basic concepts of programming. I say this because almost every language allows you to do web scraping. So if you really want to be good at web scraping, you better be good at your basics. I am choosing Python for this tutorial because it is beginner friendly. So you better have Python installed in your device if you want to follow along. Second, you do need a code editor. It can be of your choice. I am comfortable using Windsurf and that's why I am using it. Lastly, you do need a tool to create Python virtual environments. I'm going to go on a slight tangent, but Python virtual environments basically allow you to isolate packages of your projects from your system. So it basically means you don't have to install every Python package globally. I personally use Pippin. I have given links to all of these requirements down below in the description so you can easily install it in your device. Now I'm going to start setting up the project. You can do it by first setting up the virtual environment. Pippin shell is the command you use in the terminal to set up the virtual environment. You will know the virtual environment is created successfully if you see the demo folder name, which is the name of the parent folder, and Pippin file here. Secondly, you have to install the required packages. You can do it by Pippin install requests bs4 pandas. In a bit, I'll go into each one of them and why I chose these packages in particular. As you can see, these packages are installed successfully. Now I'm going to create 4 files for this mini project, and each file will contain a piece of code with a specific functionality. I am doing this because I feel like in this way it will be easier for you all to follow along. You can create these 4 files using the touch command in the terminal and then follow it by the name of the 4 files. For me it is main.py, parser.py, fetcher.py and exporter.py. Let me start with exporter.py. Exporter.py basically contains the code which will convert all of the retrieved information into a CSV. It is as simple as that. Fetcher.py will contain the code to basically fetch the raw HTML from any given URL. Main is the main script of the project, and parser.py is basically responsible for extracting all of the information from the raw HTML and then returning it as a dictionary. Now that the project setup is complete, I want to actually start coding. I have prepared the code for each of the files So I'm just going to copy paste it, but I'll walk you through each line of code so you understand what is going on here, and hopefully this makes you understand how to do web scraping. Now I'm going to copy the code for fetcher.py because it is the first step of our script. So let me do that. As you can see, I've already copied all of the code required for this file, and now I'm going to go through the code so you understand what is going on. First of all, I imported the required libraries. Request is to make fetch request to the URL in question, and BS4 is really important because it makes the raw HTML we receive from the request parsable, which we will use later. That's why we are returning a BeautifulSoup object. Let me go through the headers first. These are a simple header user agent which is required by almost all of the website to make the request. If we don't include this header, it will most likely be blocked. Now I have defined a function getSoup, which basically makes a request using the headers, and there is a timeout. I have defined a timeout because if the request takes a lot of time, it will raise an error, so we don't waste our time. We check the status of the request, and then we take out the HTML from the response, and then if we want to print the HTML, we will pass it true, but right now by default I am taking it as false, and then simply I just returned the HTML, the BeautifulSoup object of the HTML. Now you might be wondering, what is this __name __ variable? Well, one thing you should know about Python is when it runs a file during runtime, it assigns special variables to special values. If we decide to run this file as a script like this, then the value of __name _ will be __ main __. But if we decide to import it in some other file, like we are going to do it in main.py, then the value of this name variable will be the name of the fetcher file. This is used for testing, like I am going to use it for this testing this function that I have written, because once I run this, the name will be assigned to main, and this code will be executed where print HTML is true and this if condition is satisfied. As you can see, the HTML is print. Now I'm going to copy the code of parser.py, which is literally the most important part of this code. Now that I have copied it, I'm going to explain it to you from top to bottom. Basically, this is the library which will help us to join URLs in a very systematic and convincing way. So we just don't have to use concatenation of strings, which can lead to errors. This is the base URL we are going to scrape. It is very user friendly for scraping and perfect for this tutorial. Now this is the first function I have defined here, which is extract product links. Basically, it joins the base URL, which is books2scrape.com, to the subsequent URLs we are going to get from this website. Like for example, product link pages or next pages that we have to scrape by. Now second is parse product. Remember when I said when returning a BeautifulSoup object will be very useful for us? Now this will use that object to extract the title, the price, the availability, the description of the product we are trying to scrape, and it just returns all of this in a dictionary, which is going to be very useful for us later when we export all of the data we have extracted from this website into a CSV. Did I mention we are going to do that? We are going to do that here. One more thing before I move forward. From to select particular objects or content from the beautiful soap object, we have to use CSS selectors like I am doing right now. To get these CSS selectors, you literally have to go to the URL, okay, and then go to inspect tab on the browser of your choice. Then figure out the particular CSS selector which will help you single out a particular object from this website. For example, if I want to select all of the listed items here, like this, I'll simply use an li selector which will give me all of the tags, all of the objects which are enclosed within an li tag. Let me copy the code for exporter.py. You might have remembered that I said exporter.py was responsible for just exporting the CSV containing all of the data that we have scraped from the website, and this is exactly what this code is doing. As you can see, I have imported pandas. Pandas is a library which will help us to create data frames of the data we basically scraped from the website and then easily export it to a CSV, and that is what is this code doing. Now only the main file remains, and as you remember, this is the main script which will import all of the other code that we have written till now and make use of it to scrape the website. Now that I have copied the code, let me first go through the imports. Here I am importing 3 helper functions that we built earlier: getSoup from fetchers, extract product links and product from parser, and save to CSV from exporter. Here I have defined the base URL we are scraping, and all the page links and product links are built relative to this. This is the main function scrape books. It takes one optional parameter, max items, which controls how many products we want to scrape. I kept it by default 50. I am keeping a list called all data where all the past product information will be stored, and I start with the first page URL, which is the base site. Now I've started a while loop, and the idea behind this loop is to keep scraping the website as long as I don't have enough items that I have scraped, or we have a next page URL which we can scrape. Now first I'm printing, of course I'm printing the page URL we are scraping at the current, and you remember getSoups, it will return a beautiful soup object of that URL, and I am making sure that if there is nothing there, like nothing returned from the getSoup function, I'll break. Once I have the page soup, I call the extract product links, and this gives me all the URLs of the product listed on that page. Now I create a nested loop where I loop through each product. If I already scraped enough items, I'll stop. Otherwise, I'll continue to fetch the page product with getSoup. If it worked, I pass that soup into a pass product, which will return a dictionary with details like titles, price, availability. I print the past data so we can see what is actually happening. Then I add it to all data. After finishing all products on the page, I check if there is a link to next page. I use CSS selector li.next a. Sometimes the link doesn't include the full part, so I fix it by dynamically adding catalog if needed. If I found a next link, I update the page URL to point to it. Otherwise, I break the loop. Now, finally, after this loop is complete and we have passed all of the data, I call save to CSV, which will export the data we have scraped to a CSV file. When I run this script, it will scrape 100 items from this website. Now that we have come this far, I am really excited to run the scripts. So without further ado, let's do it. Python as you can see, it has started scraping, and once it finishes, I'll come back. Now as you can see, the script has finished running and it has saved 100 records to book.csv. Here is the book.csv. This is the details of all the things it has scraped from that website, and that's it. We have successfully built a simple yet powerful web scraper that fetches from website, extract product details and save it neatly to a CSV file. Along the way, we have learned how to use request to grab HTML, BeautifulSoup to parse and navigate the page, and pandas to export our result. Remember, web scraping is an incredibly useful skill, but always make sure that you respect the website's terms of service and scrape responsibly. Make sure that you don't overwhelm their servers. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more hands-on coding. And if you like to see me scrape data from a different website or even build a more advanced scraper, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and happy coding.